The thought that kept popping into my head, and I'm going to be totally honest with you and vulnerable, the thought that kept popping into my head was this: I should just leave. I don't want to be here. I'm not going to meet anybody. I don't have anything in common with any of these people. And the urge to leave kept crossing my mind. I kept going, you know what? No one's going to know, Suzanne, if you just leave. Who cares? Just leave. But then I remembered what one of my business coaches has always said. His name's Jesse. And he had always said, if you start something, you finish. Just finish. Hey there, it's Suzanne Oshima, life coach for women in midlife, and your fellow sister on a mission to empower and inspire you through the twists and turns of midlife. I'm here to help you transform it into your best life with the Life is Now, Do It While You Can podcast. We only get one life, so let's make it count, and I'm super excited to dive into this new journey together. Hey there, on today's podcast episode, I want to focus on a life lesson. So what I want to talk about today is how to meet new friends. So before we jump into it, let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like making new friends in midlife is, well, kind of hard, kind of challenging, kind of next to impossible? Well, let me just share with you, you're not alone. If you've been feeling that way and you're feeling like, God, it must be just me, it's not just you. Because guess what? I've been there, and I'm going to share with you today how to put yourself out there to meet new friends. And if you're new here, let me just share a little bit about my story and why I had to learn how to meet new friends again in midlife. For 22 years, I lived in New York City when I finally decided that it was really time for me to make a major change in my life. And as much as I love New York City, and I do, it's honestly my favorite city, I knew I couldn't spend the rest of my life there. And here's why. It's because, for one, I couldn't take winter anymore. Yes, believe it or not, for 22 years of living in New York City, I hated winter every single year. I couldn't stand it. I hate cold weather. I'm a warm weather person. But also, the other thing that happened in my life that made me realize I couldn't live in New York City for the rest of my life was that as I saw my parents go through their life transitions and get older, where later in life they couldn't really walk, they needed a walker, or both my parents, towards the end of their life, they actually couldn't walk at all. They couldn't even use a walker. They actually had to use a wheelchair, and they needed a lot of help. And it started making me reflect on my life in my 50s. And I know I'm nowhere near that, but I started thinking about, well, when I get to that age, I don't want to be in New York City. I don't want to be immobile in New York City, and I don't want to be stuck in an apartment for the rest of my life. So I knew I couldn't live there anymore, as I got into my 80s and 90s. And so I decided to make this major decision to move to California. I'm actually, if you don't know, I'm originally from California. I was born and raised in San Francisco, but I also knew I couldn't move back there because I needed something different, and I wanted to be where it was warmer. Because if you've ever spent a summer in San Francisco, let's just say it's cold. It's freezing. It's not a real a real summer there. So I decided that I was actually going to move to Southern California, and I decided to move to Newport Beach, California. And so I found a new place, and I moved across country when I was 55, so 5 years ago. And while I was really sad to leave behind my close friends who had become like family in New York, and I'm not kidding you, the friends that I made in New York, I mean, they truly are like my family, and we're still close friends today. But I was really excited to move and begin a new chapter in my life. I was really excited to be in a new place, meet new people, and just start a new life. And quite honestly, the thought of making new friends didn't seem like it would be that difficult. I really didn't think anything of it. Because when I had done the opposite move from San Francisco to New York 22 years ago, or 22 years prior when I was 55, when I moved to New York City, I actually moved to New York and I only knew one person, and she lived in New Jersey. But I was able to make a lot of new friends in New York City because, number one, I met a lot of people through work. Number two, I'm not shy about contacting people that I don't know that are friends of friends and becoming friends with them. And it's funny because I made a lot of great friends that way by asking people, who do you know in New York City? And they would say, oh, you should meet so-and-so. And so I had no problems contacting people and asking them if they wanted to get together because we had a mutual friend. Long story short, I made friends very easily in New York City. So I didn't really think anything when I moved from New York to Newport Beach. I didn't think it would be difficult. So I thought, it'll be just as easy, right? But to my surprise, when I moved to Newport Beach, it was so much harder to meet new people than I ever expected. And it was for a couple of reasons. Because now, at this point in my life, at 55, and as a solopreneur, I was working from home, right? And so my social interactions were limited. And not only that, the few friends that I did have in this area, I found that it was really hard to break into their circle of friends because these friends that I had weren't exactly inviting me to join them to all their get-togethers. And I couldn't, as much as I would have liked to, I couldn't invite myself, right? So I knew I really needed to be more proactive and be intentional about making new friends. But to be honest, it wasn't easy. It was a slow process. Not going to lie, it was a slow process because I had to implement all these different techniques to start meeting new people. And I had to be patient because I didn't know what was going to work. So through a lot of trial and error, I did a lot of different things to meet new people and make new friends. And I just wanted to share with you one of the ways I used to meet new people. And one of the things that's super important was I had to get out of my routine because I realized that at a certain point that I was in too much of a routine and I wasn't stepping outside my comfort zone. So that was the first thing is I got out of my routine. I said, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone and go to one event. And so I was on Instagram one day and I was scrolling through and this ad came up on my feed and it was advertising a 5K running event at the local running store. And while I do run, I haven't run a 5K in years. I run probably 2 to 3 times a week, and I run maybe 2.5 miles because I have, I'm laughing, it's not really funny, but I have arthritis in my knees, another aging ailment. But anyways, so I figured, you know what? I used to run 5Ks when I lived in New York. And when I lived in New York, I ran a marathon. So I said, you know what? I want to get back my endurance and start running longer races. So I'm gonna go to this 5K run. And I said, number one, it's a good way for me to get exercise. And number two, it's a good way to meet local people. And I figured, you know what, just go. And so I signed up for this event, and it was on a Saturday morning. And when I first got there, there was so many people at the store congregating together in smaller groups. And what I started to notice was almost all of the people knew each other because the group that was sponsoring this 5K run was a running club, a local running club, and I could tell everybody knew each other. And I started to feel, if you've ever gone to an event, maybe you could relate, and you're alone, and you get there, and I started to feel really awkward because I didn't know anyone. I was like, I honestly, like thinking back, I felt like I was back in high school, and I felt like, oh God, I feel like I don't know anyone, and I felt completely awkward. And it brought me back to the high school days of when you feel like the outsider, like you don't really fit in. Anyways, it wasn't just that everybody knew each other. The other part was that I would say about 98% of the people that were there, they were in their 20s and 30s. And I was like, that's making me feel even more awkward because I was thinking, first of all, I don't really have anything in common with them. But also, I could honestly be their mother. And that's not me exaggerating. I literally could have been their mother. So anyways, as I focused on stretching and getting warmed up for the race, the thought that kept popping into my head, and I'm going to be totally honest with you and vulnerable, the thought that kept popping into my head was this: I should just leave. I don't want to be here. I'm not going to meet anybody. I don't have anything in common with any of these people. And the urge to leave kept crossing my mind. I kept going, you know what? No one's going to know, Suzanne, if you just leave. Who cares? Just leave. But then I remembered what one of my business coaches has always said. His name's Jesse. And he had always said, if you start something, you finish. Just finish. And that reminded me that, you know what? You don't get to leave. And you're going to just finish this. And then I reminded myself, okay, Suzanne, quit putting pressure on yourself to meet every person there, because that's what it felt like. Like, oh, I wanted to be popular and I wanted to meet everybody, right? But it was awkward. And so I said to myself, here's the goal I made. I said, Suzanne, just make it your goal to talk to one person. Just one person. Meet one person, make one connection. And I said to myself, no expectations. That's your only goal here today, besides running the race, right? And I said to myself, Suzanne, if you connect, you connect. And if not, no big deal. But meet just one person. Talk to one person. So once I took the pressure off of myself, I actually started to feel more relaxed. And I scoped out the crowd of people, and I noticed there was one woman who was alone, just like I was. And the good news was she looked like she was closer to my age. So I got in close proximity to her. And I kept stretching and doing all these stretching exercises. And then when I saw the opportunity, I opened the door to a conversation. And that's when I asked her one question. And I asked her a super simple question about if she actually belonged to the running club that sponsored the event. And she said she didn't belong to the running club. And neither did I. But then that one simple question opened the door to talking about other things. And we both thought it was really funny that we were both probably, quote unquote, the oldest people at the event. And so we started talking and bonding. And she even shared with me, she goes, I'm not even really a runner. I just wanted to come to this event. And she was thinking about getting back into running and getting healthier. And so as we started the race, we kept talking and getting to know each other. And as we're running, and to be honest, when I run, I hate talking to people because I start sucking wind and then I feel like I'm so out of shape and I can't keep up. So anyway, she kept asking me all these questions and I was like, oh my God, I could barely breathe. But I kept trying to keep up the conversation and also keep up in running. Anyways, as we were getting to know each other along the route, there was a woman that we came across and she was running solo also. And she saw us together and she goes, hey, do you mind if I join you and run with you guys? And we said, yeah, come on, join with us. And so we all decided to run and / walk together because we were all three of us were at different levels. And we all kind of wanted to do this run walk thing and finish the race. And we did. And we got to know each other and we got back to the running store where they had a lot of different refreshments, a meditation teacher that walked us through a meditation. And the three of us hung out together for the rest of the morning. And we really got to know each other. And at some point, one of the women said to the other two of us she said, we should all exchange info. And she brings out her phone and she goes, here, put your info into my phone. And so I did. And then we all ended up exchanging information and we talked about going on walks together as a group or getting together. Like one of the women talked about how she does a lot of like energy work. And she said, oh, I'll text you some information about that and blah, blah, blah. And so we were really getting to know each other and really like starting to plan to get together after the event at some point. Anyways, it was interesting because just exchanging all that info and me sticking it out after feeling so awkward, I was like, oh my God. And just like that, I had 2 new friends and I'm so glad I didn't leave. Now, here's the thing. One friend, we kept in touch and we still keep in touch and we get together every so often. But the other quote unquote friend, she fell off the grid. I'll be honest, she fell off the grid. And that's okay. Because here's the thing is that sometimes when you meet people, you're going to click with them right away and you'll become fast friends. And other times, it's going to be a slow burn where you may get together, you'll get to know each other, and then you may not hear from them. And or they may disappear. And that's okay. Because I don't take things personally. Some people are going to become friends, some people aren't, and that's okay. I just keep going and meeting new people all the time. Because to me, I can never know enough people. It's so important to me to have the right community here and friends here that I surround myself with, that I want to spend time with. So, what can you take away from my story of meeting new friends? First and foremost, this is what I would say, is making new friends in midlife isn't easy. I know all too well, but it's not impossible. So if you've been telling yourself it's impossible to meet new friends, it's not. But you have to be persistent. And the key is to take that first step and take yourself out of your comfort zone and say yes to something new. Take yourself out of the routine. Now, when you finally say yes to a new event or whatever it is don't put pressure on yourself to meet everyone at the event. Do like I did. Challenge yourself to just meet one person. Just one person. Talk to one person. And the way to do that, even if you're shy, is just open the door to connection. Do like I did. Get in close proximity. Once you're in close proximity, just turn and ask one simple question. Remember, my simple question was, hey, do you belong to the running club that's sponsoring the event? It's not that difficult. Ask one simple question, and that opens the door to a conversation, a full-blown conversation. And at the end of the event or when you're about to leave, offer to exchange information. Say, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation. We should get together for coffee sometime. Or if you're interested, we should get together for a walk. Whatever it is. And then after the event, here's what's important, because you don't just want to exchange information, is you got to follow up. So one of the things I did after that event is the next day, I texted them both and I said, hey, it was really great meeting you. I'm really looking forward to getting together to do a walk. That way, I became top of mind. They remembered me, and I'm starting the conversation to continue becoming friends and getting together. Now remember, if someone drifts away or it doesn't turn into a deep friendship, remember this. That's okay. Not everyone, not every connection will turn into a lasting friendship. But that doesn't mean that you take it personally or you give up. It's important to just keep showing up and staying open. And soon, you'll start creating those lasting friendships. Now, here's the thing. If you really want to make new connections with like-minded women who are thriving in midlife and who truly get where you are in life, then I invite you to check out my community group, the Circle of Love Sisterhood. Because if your heart's been craving deeper connections and more meaningful friendships, I invite you to join the waitlist now to be the first to know when I open the doors again this summer. Just go to SuzanneOshima.com/waitlist, all one word. Again, it's SuzanneOshima.com/waitlist. And I can't wait to welcome you in to the Circle of Love Sisterhood.